Namaskara, Krishna.
Namaskara.
So, what are you doing?
Devaradaya, sir. Nadita.
That is true. Of course, I'm also improving quite a bit, and I'm happy to see that though for the last couple of months, because of my bad health, we have not been regular in posting the updates. The interest is just still sustaining, and the number of viewers in the channel is same. It has not changed. And a couple of messages have come to me also suggesting that, if you can do at least twice a month regularly, it will be very useful, because we are very keenly following, and particularly many have expressed the way you are explaining things they like a lot, and obviously these are all jeans pant t-shirt wallahs and not the traditional people, and therefore I am very sure, actually my experience with very traditional scholars in various matas is that they are accessible. It is not that they are not accessible. They are accessible. Only thing is they don't want to tolerate some idle talk. They come to the point, they stick to the conversation, and they also expect a little bit of preparation on our side. Beyond that, they are easily accessible. Only that some of us get intimidated, by the way they look and talk, and their proximity to Swamiji's. We said always management theory says the proximity is power and the we get intimidated. It's not their fault. That is my experience. But I'm quite an old guy, and when I think of people who are much younger, around 30s, etc., I can very easily imagine what they are going through. For them, your approach of let me choose my words very carefully. Your approach of not sacrificing the what should I say, if there's a term like that, depth of the truth in the orthodox exposition. You're not diluting any of those contentions for the sake of modernity or expression. At the same time, you are also able to convey it in a much simpler and in what they call as a linear approximation methodology, breaking it into small pieces and slowly you're giving, which they like a lot. And they're also appreciative of the fact that even as I poke you many times from the Advaitic concept, you're not losing your temper, you're not losing your patience, but you are taking time to explain why the Advaitic position is not tenable. Whether it is convincing or not, it's entirely up to the viewers. But you are able to provide an alternative hypothesis to why you're saying what you're saying. So there's a great deal of appreciation. So I must really thank you, because I'm very sure initially you thought it would be done within 5-6 episodes. It's going on and on. That's what they saw. Naham Karta Harikarta is it plays every day, every minute. Actually, it's very surprising. Several years back, when I was much younger, I used to think this is what kind of argument is this? Naham Karta Harikarta. There are defeatist people talking like this. But as the life teaches me things, at this age, I truly recognize that every minute, every step, what we give, what we do, what we take, it is not our icha, honestly speaking. It's very foolish to think it is our icha. But then, after all, we are wedded to samsara, and therefore, these flashes of wisdom is only for a few minutes per day. And then after that, we get back, I want to do this, I want to do that, what's the now? But that's okay. And again, I think I'm rambling, but still, I think it'll be helpful for youngsters when they hear this. So let me continue to ramble. Another thing which life and experience and age has taught me is that the yogyate concept, you cannot move away from that, whatever you say. Every one of us have our yogyate, and the way we are able to understand, the way we are able to internalize, the way we are able to implement and walk that is very much predicated by our respective yogyate, and therefore we have to accept as it is, and without suddenly thinking, I started this talk with listening to Krishna Kadri, and therefore tomorrow I am going to be the next applicant to the successor to Satyatma Tirthuru, if you start thinking, we have a big problem. We have a big problem. Yeah. It's on one hand, it's inspiring, oh, okay, we want to be like that. Another thing, understand where we are. So to that extent, at least, this is a big concession I'm giving as a person who likes Advaitha. Yeah. At least temporarily we have to accept the Tarathamya model. Until we are able to sublimate and go beyond that, we have to accept it. And more importantly, it is not a recognition of a self-condemnation. It is a recognition that Sri Hari is leading us, holding our fingers step by step. And he has determined you cannot bear more weight than this, okay? That's why I'm letting you do this. It's not that you should not or you cannot ever. At this point in time, you cannot bear more weight than this. Therefore, I am minimizing the weight for you. And that probably is coming to me after 40 years of effort, I think. Almost my late teenage, I started this business. And then after 40, 50 years, slowly I'm beginning to understand that na ham karta hari karta. And there again, this Sripada Raja's Itanga Hiruveno Hari, it is a startling song, it's a startling song, right? To get to the position to say Itanga Hiruveno Hari itself is a great achievement. Yeah. I just don't know for a person of his stature to say that, I don't know where we are. Therefore, these are all my ramblings, which hopefully the youngsters who listen to this understand that they have a freedom and they have a right and they should question everything. They should analyze. They should compare notes with other viewpoints. Start doubting every tenet of Tattva Vaada. Definitely they should, because the brain fit will not take them anywhere. But as they probe, only thing my request to all the viewers is that have patience. When I say patience, I'm requesting a patience of a lifetime, not 2 years, 3 years. Be patient. I'm sorry?
Maybe more.
Maybe more, Adira. Maybe more also. But again, right now we have only this lifetime, and therefore be patient. Paradoxically, another observation I want to make is paradoxically, when you accept this yogyate, the thampampya, the itanga irveno hariye, naham karta harikarta, I'll have that patience of many lifetime attitude thogondra. When we take that attitude, things begin to happen. That is very paradoxical. When you chase it, nothing happens. It moves far away, far away, far away. But when you accept where you are and what you are, it gets closer and closer. So that is another thing which I can assure from my experience, good, bad, or ugly, for all the viewers. So that's why they find your style of articulating Tattva principles very friendly, easy, understandable. At the same time, without compromising the depth of truth in the orthodoxy, right? I know it's a very stupid statement to make. You will get angry at me, but still I say it for making a point. You're able to deliver Tika Charyaru in a very nice way. Okay, let me put it that way. I know you won't like it, but still, because there is a fascination. Believe it or not, when I was early teenagers, one of the books I bought was, believe it or not, Sudha Parimala, saying that I must read Nyaya Sudha. It's difficult, so I read Sudha Parimala, I'll understand. Which I couldn't understand either of it. That's a different story. But from that moment, my fascination for Tika Acharya, my own debate, my mental debate, my mental quarrel with him continues. But still, that is the pinnacle of expression. If somebody were to express in several different ways, hammer you with information, though sometimes it looks like killing a mosquito with a hammer, he hammers. He doesn't leave any room for doubt. So that is pinnacle, and that's what, in my view, you are doing in your own way, bringing a lot of science also in the way. So this is this elaborate rambling. I will leave it to you. You can take whichever way you want. Yeah, continue in the same direction to establish, first of all, why Sadasat Vilakshna is not a valid concept from the point of view, or you can continue to establish the whole house of build a house of edifice of ontology, and then take one by one. Choice is yours. So please carry on.
Sure, sir. Narasimha Akhilajnana Matadhanta Divakarah Jagatyamitha Sajnana Sugashitipayonidhi Abhramam Bhangarahitam Ajadam Vimalam Sada Anandatirthamadulam Bhaje Tapatrayapaham Apadamauli Paryantam Gurunam Akritim Smaret Tena Vignaha Pranashyante Siddhyanti cha Manorathaha Sriya Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Hari Om Hari Om. First of all, if people are finding anything good in my way of presentation, I think the credit is that of Shrimad Madhacharya himself. He is that clear, that simple and profound at the same time. It's like an elegant physics law that you may see, right? And you will say, this explains everything, right? So you get the same joy when you read Acharya's words. Some of them, obviously, they get a little complex, but the way of presentation or the way of dealing with any topic logically is absolutely his. And I sometimes feel guilty that I am not portraying the thing properly. Yeah, we are trained in a different way in today's world, and I feel that to compensate for that, right, I am not going in the same order or the sequence of topics that he chooses to portray. But I think eventually I'm fine. Even he will take care of both me and the viewers and yourself. I mean, at the end of it, he has to get the job done. I mean, he is the Jagat Guru, so he will get it done. So that assurance is there. That said, basically what I want to do is, see, we talked about the Sadasat Vilakshana thing. I'll touch upon that a little bit. And the reason why I was hesitant to go the full route on that, even not in the last class, but in the one before that, was that it will eventually go down to what are your rules of interpretation of Shruti. It will, and there are some concepts that people who are trained in the traditional way, right? They know these things by heart, or by as a matter of training. In fact, my son, who was studying Tarka Sangraha with one of the commentaries, he knows many of these concepts which are later touched upon. For example, Rudhi versus Yoga, Lakshana versus Gauna, which one is what. All those things matter to us when we take up these things. So I was hesitant because it will lead to a larger distraction. So that's why I left it out. I thought I will even come to that when we talk about Aham Brahmasmi, or how Tattvavada deals with those so-called Advaitic Shrutis. But anyway, we will touch upon that also a little bit right now. And then I would like to continue with what we were doing with the Madhva ontology. We'll do it very briefly. I hope to cover that again. And then after that, we will come to this topic of, how Acharya deals with these scriptural statements that seem to go against his tenets. It's important to know that. In fact, I think only Srimad Madhacharya has done justice to that particular aspect. Others have not really cognized, or they have cognized but not given. I'm not really impressed with their treatment of the gamut of Shrutis, whether it be Shankara or Ramanuja for that matter. I have studied Ramanuja's Vedartha Sangraha and Shankaracharya's many parts of his Brahma Sutra Bhashya, Gita Bhashya, some parts of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad Bhashya, Taittiriya Bhashya. He is no doubt very eloquent, but I don't think he is logical. But anyways, I mean, we'll come to that. Let me not make more judgments here. That is not the point, right? So the point is, we will. So first, let me come to the Sadasat Vilakshana part. I will share my screen as to where we left. Okay. So let me share my screen. Give me a minute.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. Right. I use different applications. All of them have different ways of sharing the screen. So I have to remember which is where. So one is in Zoom, and you are able to see now my screen, right?
Indeed, yes.
Yeah. So see, the main reason why Advaita uses, comes up with this kind of 2 or 3 layer reality is of this particular arthapatti. Satchetna badhyeta, asatchetna pratiyeta, right? One is this is an arthapatti. If it were real, it will never get sublated. It will never get corrected, right? And if it were unreal, it will basically. I'm translating asat as unreal. You're able to hear me, right?
I can, yes.
So if it were unreal, it will never get perceived, or it will never get apprehended. That is the logic that Advaitins use, and it is there in multiple places. But this is the main reason. This is one of the main reasons, rather, why Advaitins come up with this thing called Sadasat Vilakshana or Anirvachaniya or what do you call? Primarily these two. Now the point is the point of contention where we differ is in this portion. You're able to see my screen?
Yes, I can. Yes.
If unreal, it is not perceived, is a wrong thing is according to Advaita. Basically, we say that unreal things are indeed cognized, and they are indeed cognized in illusions, right? When I mistake a rope to a snake, or the snake that I see is unreal. Okay, so Advaitins insist, or they say that no, that rope is anirvachaniya. But look at the sublating cognition. Basically, after the correction has happened, whoever is the observer, that observer will say, I saw an unreal snake. Nobody says, anirvachaniya or whatever it is, right? Inexplicable. None of that happens. So all of that is only when you are like kind of you have already taken into the Advaitic notions, then you will perhaps say that. But if not touched by the Advaitic knowledge, then you are bound to just say it is an unreal snake. Now, therefore, it means that unreal snake was indeed cognized, and it was cognized in the in illusion. Now, Acharya also mentions other things like if it were not Asat, if it were not comprehensible, if Asat, if unreal was never perceptible or never cognizable, how would you even know that it is not cognizable? Right? So then it goes into a logical absurdum that you are telling that something is incognizable after cognizing it only, right? On the other hand, then the argument also goes to saying that let's even say that the accept it for the time being, right? That this is a different argument, which is that if it were it is in this one, right? The whatever was perceived, even if it consider that as anirvachaniya, at that time the anirvachaniya presented itself as sat.
Correct.
Right? So there is that satness, is that whatever satness, the reality was what was there, is unreal. It is not vyAvahArika. If it were to be vyAvahArika, there is no illusion then, because you are recognizing a thing as is. You are the silver, the snake is also anirvachaniya. Therefore, your cognition is also anirvachaniya. Therefore, there is no illusion then. But if the snake is Pratibhasika, but the cognition says that it is vyAvahArika or it is real, then it means that the vyAvahArika-ness, whatever was seen, is asat, is unreal. So if you go to the next level of analysis, basically, you have to admit that the vyAvahArika-ness, whatever was seen in that illusion, is asat, is unreal. Okay, it is whatever definition is there, right? Traikalika nishedha pratiyogitvam. It applies there also. Okay, therefore it is you have to, and if you say no, it is not traikalika nishedha pratiyogitvam. On the other hand, it is traikalik pratipanna upadhau. It has been perceived, but again, it is the rope's vyAvahArika-ness is also vyAvahArika. If you say that, then there is no illusion. If you say the rope's vyAvahArika-ness is asat, then there can be an illusion, but then you are also admitting that asat can be perceived. So therefore, purely on logic, you cannot say that asat can never be perceived. So the only other option is Arthapatti goes out of the, I mean, it doesn't serve the Advaitin a reason for holding that something like Sadasat Vilakshana can exist. The other possibility that is there is the Agama. Okay. And some of the things that, I forgot his name. Subramaniam, right?
Yes.
He mentioned a couple of them are already handled by, couple or one of them, I think actually, is handled by Sri Jayatirtha in Vishnu Tattva Nirnaya Tika. Okay, so I think one of them is here. I don't remember now which one he was mentioning. Let me see here. So, okay, yeah. There is some other, this one is it. So here he had given these quotes to basically say that the Upanishads or the scriptures themselves give give the notion that there are two layers of reality and things like that. But that is not the case. In fact, one of the things that we saw earlier, right? We basically saw that it is not the case, and he is basically talking about it says that the vyAvahArika thing or whatever it is does not really map to exactly the same thing that Advaita holds in their ontology. Basically that there are 2-3 layers of this one. I'm trying to get the quote here. Let me see if I have it here itself. So anyway, so the point is that I think I will need to come back to that. Before I go there, right? So I'll tell you, I will give a broader idea on how Acharya handles this thing. So he says that, see, there are multiple rules of interpretation. Okay. Before I even mention this thing, I will just narrate some of them right now. Okay, but later we will have to, I will put them in the slide and then I will show you how things work out when we go deeper into Aham Brahmasmi or how Tattvavada interprets these things. So the first thing is that Nacha Anubhava Virodhe Agamasya Pramanyam. Very first point that Acharya mentions. I think an Advaitin also will like this, because at least they have to pretend to like it, because Shankaracharya says this thing in Gita Bhashya, right? That 1,000 Shrutis cannot make the fire cold, or the crow white, or something like that he mentions there. Very sensible statement. So basically you have to admit that scripture has a certain realm, Pratyaksha has a certain realm, and they have one rules over the other when it comes to the if there is a conflict in their own realms. Okay, so Acharya says Anubhava is the final arbiter. Okay, now again, if you remember our previous discussions on epistemology, it is not any other Anubhava. It is Parikshita Anubhava.
Correct.
Okay, very important to note that thing. So that's how we basically exclude cases like rope snake or silver nacre kind of thing. That is how we are able to distinguish, and we say that we leave out those, and any other parikshita anubhava, any other experiences that are out there, right? Those cannot be wished away. Those cannot be, whatever scripture is there, it has to align to this one. So it is in line with this that we came to the point of saying that, look, there are other scriptures, right, which talk about neither Sat being existing nor Sat Mrud Abravit, or whatever is there, right? So then you mentioned that, look, Mrud also speaks to me, okay? But that is a figurative usage. The idea is, so look at this, right? I mean, for all of us, Shruti is the Veda is the pramana to anything that is atindriya, anything that is beyond our senses. So you cannot dilute the efficacy of every single component of that particular Vedic expression. Okay. So this is where again, Dvaita becomes the Tattvavada school becomes much more stickler to understanding this Veda thing than how the Advaita deals with this. Okay. In fact, you will find this thing across Acharya's works, and you will find he tries to explain why every single word is important. Not just single word. For him, a Vedic line, if it contains cha, tu, or if there is a change in the vyatyasa, right? If there, see, it is what do you call the regular masculine, neuter, feminine genders in the or the vibhaktis, the declensions, right? Sometimes they change in the Vedic things, right? Brahmano asya mukham asit. You must have heard this thing from Purusha Sukta, right?
Yep.
The Brahmana became this guy's face, right? What does it mean? Does it actually mean that we are all his face or something like that? It doesn't make sense there, right? So this is basically there. Brahmano asya mukhat bhavet bhavati, something like that is the meaning of that. So the Brahmana came out from this person's mukha. So the Shashti Vibhakti, or you basically mukham Brahmanasya mukham asit become mukhat asit. Mukham, you have mentioned that thing there. It is in Prathama Vachana, Eka Vachana. Sorry, it is in the Prathama Vibhakti, but you have to interpret that in the fifth Vibhakti. Okay. Parame Vyoman is there. Okay. Parame Vyomni. You have to interpret that in the seventh declension. So the Panini himself has kind of told in some places that these irregularities are what do you call, are acceptable as long as it is in the Vedic corpus. Okay. So that's a separate discussion. That's a very interesting discussion. But anyway, that's where he says this thing. And so Acharya tries to interpret each one of those variations also. So in fact, in Aitareya Bhashya, he mentions one very important thing. He says that even the swara, okay, are also important. And he uses this thing, right? Everybody see, if you ask any Vedic scholar as to why is swara important, they will give you one standard example, okay? I'm sure you must have heard about that Twashtru and, trying to create, trying to beget a son who will kill Indra. You have heard about this thing? Indra Shatru Vardhasva.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so there is a Vedic thing. He was Twashtru. Basically, he is one of the, I mean, within the gods only. But for some reason, there was he did not like Indra for some time. Okay, for a different reason. That Indra was basically killing all his sons or something like that. He would have some problem there. So he will do some penance, and in that penance, he uses the wrong stress. So Indra Shatru Vardhasva, he says something like that, he will say. So now, because of the stress being on the wrong syllable, the meaning becomes, Indra, whoever kills, whoever is killed by Indra, may he be born of me. Instead of what he wanted to do, he says, may the killer of Indra be born of me. Okay. So the meaning changes because of where he puts the stress on. So everybody will give you this much only, but Acharya uses this thing in his, how he interprets the one of the Upanishad statements, which is that of it comes in the Atharvashira Upanishad. He talks about that, and in the this is there told in Anandamayadhikarana, and basically the point is he actually stresses on even the swaras. So the swara, sometimes the adhyaya endings. Sometimes, how the, so every component of the Vedic corpus is important. Okay, because it is the only source of knowledge you have about an Atindriya Padartha. So you cannot say, the way we say it, bhav samjho. Yeah, bhav samjh, before you understand the bhav, you need to know what it is talking about. And unless you proclaim to know beforehand what it is trying to say,
yes,
bhav samjho doesn't work. Unless you claim yourself to be superior to Veda, right? So this is so here, Mridabravi. So what does it mean? So every word you have to take at its face value, and you have to interpret it literally. Unless there is a problem, if there is a problem, you go to the next level of interpretation. You
Okay.
either as in,
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
If that is so, if it has to be taken literally, unless there is a problem, is the rule. Brahmane Mukhamasi, where is the problem? There is no problem, right?
There is.
Where is the problem?
Am I Brahman's space, Parabrahma space right now?
Why not?
No, I'm not. No, I can see, right? I'm my full body is there. I'm what do you call? I cannot see the rest of the face of the Brahman. How can, and I'm moving all over the place. And we are having two Brahmins are conflicting with each other. They are fighting. They are talking. I mean, all of these things. It is, I would say, pretty obvious that we are not that face.
No, it is obvious to me. Let me explain why it is so obvious to me. For example, we know this is our body. We know there's a lot of insects, bacterial level or what a molecular level, things live on our body. We know that.
Right.
So, likewise, that is probably what made Sri Ramanujacharya to look at jivas as a part of Brahman, not right. They kind of in between. That's what they say. No, every living being is a part of Narayana is their principle. So and therefore, then let's take.
No, 1 minute. So even if we go by that interpretation,
Yes.
You will say Brahmana Mukhe Asid. It should have been a different declension. Brahmana is in Purusha's face. You will have to say that, or on Purusha's face, or around Purusha's face. You will not say Brahmana is Purusha's face. And which Brahmana then? Is it me or you?
Do you want me to answer this?
No, I mean, see, if you.
I can answer this. Do you want me to answer this?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay. Here, when in this context, who is the Brahman? Who is Brahman's face? One who has achieved Brahmajnana. That is the Brahmana.
So the verse there is clearly talking about the Varnas. Okay. Brahmanasya mukhamasit raja bahu rajanyah krutah uru tasya
Padyagam Shudro Ajayata.
So there the Shruti is telling Padbhyam Shudro Ajayata. The fifth vibhakti is very clear over there. The Shudra came from the feet. Okay, it is not really the Shudra. The Shudra Abhimani Devatas, because the Shudra is actually coming out of the what do you call, his mother's womb at the end of the day, right? So that is the first level contradiction there itself. So there are Bahu Rajanya Krutaha. Okay, the Kshatriya. Okay, the shoulders were made into the Kshatriya.
Correct.
So if that is true, then the Paramapurusha should not have any Bahu right now. Okay,
I'm sorry to say that is a very
literal
rudimentary approach. Suddenly you cannot jump some millions of miles from a very high thing to how he is saying like this. That's a very rudimentary way of talking.
That is a literal way of talking. We are having a problem there only, no? It's a literal way, right? I'm trying to literally take everything and then try to show the meaning. And therefore, if I have to say that, there is samatva, there is some sort of equality in how the four varnas have come through from the Paramapurusha, I need to then say that, okay, in one case, the usage of the text is, it becomes, Brahmana becomes Paramapurusha's face. The Kshatriya was made out of Paramapurusha's shoulders. And again, the thighs, or the thighs became the Vaishyas. Okay. And then from the feet, the Shudra was born. Okay. So and all of them are in singular. Okay. So they are not even talking about plural. So when I have to say that all of them are basically talking about the same event, so you'll have to say that in the first case also, Brahmana asya mukhad asid. Then the first case and the fourth case, that is Padbhyam Shudro Ajayata, or Mukham Asid is basically Mukhad Ajayata. If you'll have to take it like that so that the Shruti makes sense. So this kind of, what do you call, I wouldn't say modification, this kind of adjustment is what we need to do there. Then the Shruti will start meaning the right thing. So my problem, that's why reason why if there is only a problem, we will take to this kind of alternate reading.
Can I ask you a different question? I mean, aligned to this, why are you so hung up on changing the Brahmana Mukamasi rather than adjusting Padvyagam Shudraja? Change that.
Very
Change
good.
Vaishya. Then what happens is we are trying to know, Purusha Sutta is trying to say
Very good.
that all are parts of Narayana. Therefore, actually, I know why you are doing this. Why Madhvacharya would do this. Because then the Taratamya breaks down.
No, nothing of that sort.
Can I explain? Can I explain why I'm saying Taratamya breaks down?
No, you are I have small problem with the way you are approach. You are basically, before you, I mean, don't try to justify the what do you call? I mean, let's not go to the meta discussion as to why Acharya did that. Let's basically try to understand in his own system.
Okay.
There are two conflicting statements. Okay, one which says Brahmana is same as Narayana's face. Another one which says Shudra came from Narayana's feet. So do you take the fifth vibhakti from here? You know, the concept of birth from here and then would reinterpret this one, or will you take basically Padbhyam Shudra Ajayata? Will you reinterpret that as what do you call equality? Basically, Shudra is Bhagavan's feet.
Yeah, why not? If you have a right, if you have no, hold on. If you have an authority to change the first line, Brahmano Mugamas, if you have authority to change the first line, you have the same authority to change the last line, Sudra Padvyagam Sudra. You have the same authority. Why not that?
Exactly. Good question. And the answer to that is, I mean, instead of going to some Taratamya and all those things, there are simpler explanations, right? Even in our what do you call regular language, regular linguistic usage, right? For example, I will say, you know, my shirt is Van Hussein, okay, or my shirt is what do you call is Arrow or something like that. Basically, that is in regular usage also. You equate branding, right? The brand to the product itself. Okay, to an instance of that product. So in our usage, so therefore Brahmanasya Mukhamasid is Savakasha. It is even in regular usage, even when there people are saying A is equal to B, actual meaning is A is from B's company or B's whatever. A belongs to B. Okay, this kind of usage is seen in our regular usage. The same thing applies to Shruti. Therefore, just because when A is B is told, it does not naturally, or it does mean that thing, okay, but it is a Savakasha statement. Same thing with Tattvamasi also, for that matter. Okay, when there is a problem, you say, okay, but see, it is obvious, right? The White House issued a statement. We say that. Did the House actually issue a statement? It doesn't. It is somebody who is sitting there, who is in position of authority, who is actually issuing a statement. Similarly, when I say my shirt is from, I mean, whichever brand applies in US, I do not know. Or, you know, I just say, you know, my shirt is Van Hussein or from or Arrow. I understand that, you know, it is an Arrow product or it is from Van Hussein, okay, or one of these things there, right? Or is from Polo. If I, not even from Polo, if I just say is Polo, yeah. Which one is this? If somebody says, I'll say Polo. But it is, the contradiction is very obvious. My shirt itself is not the company, my shirt itself is not the brand. It is an instance of that. So in natural usage, A is B, Samanadhikaranya. That's what Advaitins call. I mean, it is called in across the scriptural this thing also. If A is B, does not straight away translate to total equality. I mean, it does, but it is not Niravakasha. It leads to other interpretations also. Other alternate interpretations also are there. On the other hand, when I am saying A came from B's shop, okay, I cannot say A is equal to B. Therefore, right, Padbhyam Shudra Ajayata is Niravakasha. Therefore, that interpretation holds good, and I have to change Brahmano Asya Mukhamasit. This is the logic. So similarly, the idea is that of this Niravakashatva, Savakashatva is one of the very ubiquitously used idea in the Madhva literature. It is not a patent of the Madhva philosophy or anything like that. It is used in the Purva Mimamsa sutras also. So they basically, if then you have two conflicting statements, which of these how do you resolve this conflict is determined by which of them allow an alternate interpretation. I'll just show you one more slide. Okay, this is in a different context. I was trying to show doing another course there. Yeah. So see here, right? I have one statement which is there in Maha Upanishad. Eko Narayana Asit, na Brahmana Shankara. Okay, only Narayana existed, neither did Brahma nor did Shankara. Then the other statement is there. This is from Shvetashvatara, which says Eko hi Rudro na Dvitiyaya tastuhu. Okay. So there are two interpretations that you will have to, three interpretations actually. Okay, which is possible, which will try to make sense out of these two of them. I have written both of them, all three of them there. One is only Narayana existed. Rudra here basically refers to Narayana. The other one says reverses that priority. It says that Rudra is the actual one, then Narayana here refers to Rudra. The interpretation 3, which is more secular and all those good things that are politically correct and all those things, right? Both of them are same, right? And they basically refer to themselves. They are ideally the same. So we can say this. The problem is this particular thing is Savakasha. Okay. First of all, let's see this one, right? Here there is an issue in this line here.
Correct.
The Veda is telling Narayana existed.
Others do not exist.
And it is specifically naming.
Correct.
Okay, Brahma and Shankara as non-existing.
Correct.
This one is more generic in its negation.
Correct.
Okay. So therefore, whichever is more specific, okay, is Niravakasha.
Correct.
Therefore, my interpretation 1 holds good.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah. So this Niravakasha, Savakasha thing comes everywhere in our this one.
Can I say something here?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I totally agree with you. The Sa-Avakashatva is the cornerstone, in my view, of Tattvada's approach, because I tell it differently in English, using some legal jargon. The fundamental basis of Tattvada philosophy, the fulcrum point, is what they call as reasonable doubt argument.
I'm not too sure if this is same, sir. But anyway, you please continue.
Yeah, I tell you why it is same. When we say reasonable doubt, what does Avakashatva mean?
I'm listening.
It creates a doubt whether.
I'm not able to.
I'm sorry?
It's okay.
What is this?
No, I think that was my Siri who suddenly.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry.
Yeah. Why I'm saying reasonable doubt argument is Sa-Avakashatva means what? It gives you an avakasha for opportunity for looking at other interpretations and meaning. Why does it provide an opportunity for other meanings? Because there is a reasonable doubt about the current meaning. That is why in my argument, that is why in my view, all the so-called Mahavakyas of etc., everything gets reinterpreted because there is a reasonable doubt about one particular meaning. Without Sa-Avakashatva, it's quite possible that the Tattvada itself will lose balance.
No, I think it is less to do with Savakashatva and more to do with Niravakashatva. It is important that way. Okay. It is not because, see, let's say the statement 1 did not exist for the time being. Okay. I mean, in the hypothetical case, right? Let's say statement 1 did not exist. What will I do? I will take statement 2 and I will say that there is nobody but Shiva who existed at the beginning.
Correct.
Okay. So the prima facie meaning applies on its own strength without any problems. Okay. I don't need anything else there. The problem comes only in case of conflict.
Correct. See, in isolation, there is no conflict. See, you are cleverly changing the reference point.
So, no, 1 minute. The issue is that you're focusing on Savakashatva, I am focusing on Nirvakashatva. Nirvakashatva basically says, look, I mean, I am immalleable, right? I mean, you cannot change me. I am, what do you call, there is a word for that, I forget the thing. So you cannot change me. My interpretation is this. Okay, it is rather the interpretation will not look natural. You will have to resort to some figurative sense. You will have to resort to some other, extra. You'll have to import many other ideas before you make sense out of that. The force of an apaurishaya text is when you take it on its prima facie meaning. So this is the second interpretation for a rule of interpretation for Acharya. Basically, you will say that Rudhyartha rules over Yaugikartha or any other artha for that matter. Okay, Mukhyartha is more important than Amukhyartha. Whatever you are saying, right? The mud speaks to me or whatever it is, they are all Amukhyartha. They are figurative. Right. They are what do you call weaker than a prima facie meaning. The prima facie meaning has to be discarded only if there is a reason, strong reason to do so. This is not reasonable doubt, please. It is strong. For example, if I say the Calcutta is on Ganga, or Kolkata is on Ganga, right? Or London is on Thames. The prima facie meaning is unacceptable, not because of reasonable doubt. It is because it is illogical to say that the city is actually on the river. So you will have to say what I mean by that is London is on the banks of the river Thames, right? So that is Lakshanikartha. Okay, so there is an Amukhyartha that comes over there because there is an opposition. There is some illogicality or impossibility in the straightforward meaning. I go resort to another meaning. Now, in this case, there was no such illogicality just by itself. Correct. The problem comes when I try to put both these statements together. All right. Now, when I need to decide which interpretation is incapable of, without twisting it too much, which one is basically, which is more malleable and which one is not malleable. Okay. So whichever is not malleable, that is stronger. You'll have to say, for us, both of them are pramana. You cannot ditch one of them. Right? It is not like Newton versus Einstein, where you can say that, okay, you can safely ignore the Newtonian physics. Both these Vedic statements are pramana for us. So you will have to reinterpret one and then say, okay, this is how I reinterpret this. And the reason for that is statement one is Nirvakasha. So the idea of Nirvakashatva, Savakashatva is important. So the same thing applies to even the Agama statements where Sat and Asat and all these things are mentioned. So Krishna himself tells in Bhagavad Gita, right? Sat means even it is used when for sadhu bhava, sadbhave sadhu bhave. Okay, so when there is something good, the word Sat is used. Okay, Asat is used when something is not good, bad or evil. Okay, so it is used in that sense also. It doesn't always mean real or unreal. Okay. Acharya gives another quote. Saditi murta samproktam. Sad murtam iti samproktam. Whatever has a form is called Sat. Whatever does not have a form is called Asat. Okay. So there are multiple interpretations of this Sat and Sat. There's a problem in saying that. Sorry? Connecting it to Murti, there's a problem, huge problem there. No, that is told by the Veda itself, sir. Veda itself is telling you that the meaning of Sat is Murta. What is the problem? The problem is thoughts are real. They don't have Murta. No, that is fine. Nobody is saying that all that is Murta is only. No, but again, what you are saying is the problem there, right? We are talking about the word Sat. Okay. You are thinking Sat means real and only that has forms is real is what you are assuming. That is not what the Shruti is telling. Shruti is telling the word Sat refers to something that has forms. You associate okay. It's generally associated with a form. Okay. Because you can see and feel it and all those things. Therefore, it has it is the usage there. Understood. So there are different usages of that word there, Sat and Asat. So to insist that Sat means only real and Asat means only unreal and then say that Agama is the proof is also not helpful. Yeah, I'll go into more specific cases, I think, in the next class when we are in some other time when we look at Subramaniam's other points there.
Exactly.
But yeah, but I'll tell there one small point that Acharya mentions. This is very important, right? He says this thing. In fact, this is used in by Jayatirtha also to explain one of the quotes that he gives. So he says that, see, स्वातंत्र्ये च विशिष्टत्वे स्थानमत्य ऐक्ययोरपि सादृश्ये च ऐक्यवाक् सम्यक् सावकाशः यथेष्टतः. Okay. So basically, let's say, basically all Aikya Agama, right? When you say there is no difference, when there is pure identity, I mean, some of his quotes that he mentioned, right? There is once the moksha happens, right? There is no difference between the Jiva and the Paramatma. You will find such mentions over there. So Acharya has cognized these things, and Jayatirtha even quotes the same Vishnu Purana quote that our friend gave, and he mentions that they are all falling in this particular case. The idea is, right, there are again regular linguistic usages where you say A is B, okay, or A and B became one, but without leading or accepting identity as the main thing. Okay, so for example, you say all cows goshthyam ekam abhavat, okay, or the warring factions became one. What does that mean? It means that they came to an agreement. So matyaikya, mati aikya, having an agreement on a certain thing is also called, the usage there is they became one. Okay, found or this is, or the all cows became one that evening, which means that they basically reached the cow shed. Okay, they had sthana aikya. Similarly, matya aikya. So it is easy to explain statements like A is B, okay, without taking to identity as the only foregone conclusion.
Correct.
On the other hand, when you are saying A and B are different, okay, for example, bhayad agnis tapati, it says, okay, Agni burns out of fear of Parabrahman, or basically of displeasing Parabrahman, right? You cannot say Agni is Parabrahman then, because there is fear element over there. So this case, there is Bheda Shruti is there. You cannot wish away this by using, you cannot make it Savakasha, it is Niravakasha. So invariably, Acharya's point is all Bheda Shrutis are Niravakasha. If it says there are two, there will be two. Okay. Now, this is a law, this is the assertion on the other side is what is more important to us, which is that all statements of identities, the so-called identity, are explicable in similar manner, on one of these things, whatever he has mentioned, 5 of them over there.
Correct.
Okay. And using any of these 5 factors, you can explain how the identity happens. For example, in Vishnu Purana, right? I mean, take this thing. This is a very funny example, actually. So there is Banasura, right, who has imprisoned Aniruddha, and Krishna wages a war on Banasura. And who is protecting Banasura? Rudra himself. Shiva himself is protecting him. So Krishna and Pradyumna, which is Aniruddha's father, they forcefully attack Banasura's kingdom, and they are now fighting with Rudra and Skanda. Skanda and Pradyumna are actually Swarupatah, they are same. Okay, that's a different thing. But anyway, now they are fighting with this thing. So what does, after some fight, Krishna basically renders Shiva as unconscious. He basically, Shiva has fainted now. Okay, Skanda has also fainted now. Then he basically cuts off the 900, Banasura has 1,000 hands, leaving 2 hands, he cuts off the rest of it. Shiva wakes up by that time. Shiva wakes up at that time, and then he says, oh, please save him, I mean, please leave him, he is my devotee or anything like that. Then there is a whole passage of this kind of identity. Okay, Krishna says, yeah, you and I are same. Whatever I give is same as whatever you give, is equivalent to you giving it, or if you give, it is equivalent to me giving it, me giving a boon or whatever it is. So and whoever sees a difference between us is an idiot. I mean, he scolds that person, and whoever sees us as one and the same is a wise man kind of thing is there. Now, if you take this thing at prima facie, if they were truly identical, right? Look at the preceding set of events.
I tell you, there's a problem again. See, this is happening all the time with Tattvadins because Tattvadins take all Puranas so literally.
No, we'll come to that thing. You are basically.
No, that is why you have to explain all these things. That's what I'm trying to say. On the one hand, your Avakashatva provides you an opportunity to reinterpret. On the other hand, so I mean, there's a criticism that Tattvadins take the stand as is convenient to prove their point rather than logically moving.
No, that is
right. Whenever it is convenient, you say it should be taken literally. Whenever it is convenient, you should not take it literally.
No. The rule is very simple. Prima facie meaning you should take it always. If there is a problem, logical problem, then search for an alternate explanation. Very simple rule. The thing is, when there is a logical problem is where what you and I say may be different. But the rule is there is no confusion in the rule, or it is not a thing of convenience there. Okay. And I mean, people can say anything, you may allege anything. So we'll need to be little choosy about when we are responding or whatever, which one we are responding to. But so the point is that here there is an obvious conflict, right? There is a long set of events where Krishna defeated Shiva, made him unconscious, made him immobile, and kind of rendered him ineffective and all those things. And then he's saying, yeah, both and you and I are same. So here again, right, Acharya's this funda of Mati Aikya becomes very important. Basically, whatever Krishna has willed, if Rudra has given a boon, it has come from Krishna's approval. Similarly, if if Krishna has given something, it means Rudra is in alignment with that. It doesn't mean he's giving an approval or there or something like that. With a Mati Aikya, you can explain both the events without losing, without loss of generality, without losing the effectiveness of either of these passages. Only when you insist that no, second passage, I mean, that's what in fact our Subramanyam also does, that he takes only this part, he ignores the first part, and he takes only this part where they are talking about identity, but that does not fit with the rest of the previous events. So when you take the whole set of events, the way to interpret that is Matyaikya. Similarly, the Vishnu Purana passage, the other Vishnu Purana passage that he mentions, right, where there is a difference of opinions. So that is the moksha state description there. So when the jiva, after getting into moksha, his wishes, his thoughts, his everything are aligned to that of Paramatma. There is no bheda there. In the sense, Paramatma's thoughts, whatever the jivatma has thought, Paramatma wishes the same thing for that person. That is why whatever he wishes, they become true immediately. In samsara avastha, that is not the case. Sankalpa deva tatshrutehe. That is what is told in the Brahma Sutra also, right? So if he says, I want to go to the Pitruloka, immediately he will be taken to Pitruloka in moksha. Why? Because his thought, his desire, his wish, though innate to him, is aligned to Paramatma. Matyaikya is there. That is what there is no difference then. When you say there is no difference of wishes or there is no difference of opinion. That is what is meant over there. This is the broad principle that Acharya gives, and this is what is used to explain some of the quotes that Subramanyam gave. This is the overarching reason for interpreting them differently. Some of them have antaranga badhaka also. They have problems in there itself from whatever he is saying. Okay, so that we will have to go case by case and then point out, but that will derail our our main discussion. So I tried to show that in one of the instances in the last class. I think I don't have the reference right now. We can do that next time. But I think we should stop here and go to Madhva ontology and come back to the point of how we are interpreting Shruti, whether it is Aham Brahmasmi or the Tattvamasi or Prapancho Yadi Vidyeta, some of these things which are pet topics, pet Shrutis or Mahavakyas, whatever you call them, right? and we will see how Tattvavada takes them, and are they really what do you call Abheda Shrutis? Our state, Acharya's position is that there is no Abheda Shruti at all, which is this thing. Anyway, we'll come to that thing little later.
Yes.
With that said, I think we should
Sure.
we'll have to close today's session.
Namaskar. Namaskar. Thank you. Thank you.